Are the fighting nerds going to dominate this weekend, boys? That's my real question. It's UFC Fight Night France. We're in Paris. It's looking like France versus Brazil, though. There's 4 France fighters versus 4 Brazilian fighters. I know what the UFC's doing. They're trying to set the fighting nerds up for success. That's what's going on here. We have Marcel Ruffy versus Benoit Saint-Denis in the co-main event, and Carl Borralho versus Nassourdine Imavov in the main event. We're going to get to BSD right now. All right, boys? Benoit Saint-Denis, right? My last recollection of BSD is him losing that fight against Dustin Poirier, which was absolutely embarrassing. Let's be real, boys. My boy was up, he was dominating, and then got cracked with a counter shot, and just everything went downhill from there. After that, he went on to a grappling event. He won his grappling event, returned to the UFC, and then got his ass whooped by Renato Moicano. All right, he went out there and beat up a dude named Kyle Propolek. Right? You haven't heard of him, right? Me neither. That's because his last fight was in 2019. He came back from a 5-year layoff to fight BSD. Of course BSD is going to win that. He took that to the second round, by the way. Listen, Marcel Ruffy, his last fight was fighting old, dusty, crusty Bobby Green. Bobby Green, and we saw what Marcel Ruffy did to Bobby Green, okay? That spinning heel kick was on my TikTok For You page for about 3 months. All right? What are we doing here with this matchup? I understand we want the fighting nerds to gain success, but we're making it a little bit obvious, Dana and Hunter, boys. This is a little bit insane. The mismatching is getting a little bit insane. I've been seeing comments on TikTok and on Twitter. Oh, Benoit via submission. Are you nuts? Are you sick in the head? Marcel Ruffy is going to stand in a Taekwondo MVP Stephen Wonderboy Thompson stance, right? Like sideways essentially, and he's going to have so much distance. He's going to pick him apart with these kicks. It is going to be insane. It is going to be literally insane. Marcel Ruffy comes off as a 10x better Bahamondes. Let's be real. But it's also kind of because of the dodgy opponents that they're throwing in front of these dudes. Except for Borralho. Borralho is the only fighting nerd, for whatever reason, that is getting thrown monsters in his way. We're going to get to him in a second. Just 1 second. Marcel Ruffy is going to win this fight absolutely devastatingly. If you think that Benoit Saint-Denis has the slightest chance, you are wrong. I understand. Hey, this is in his hometown. Benoit Saint-Denis was a special forces fighter. That doesn't matter, bro. I don't know what's going on over there in France, but for whatever reason, their fighters cannot keep up with the rest of the world. Okay? Cyril Gane, booty. Nassourdine Imavov seems to be the only person who has his head on straight. All right, we're gonna get to him right now. We're gonna just lock Marcel Ruffy KO TKO, boys. That's it. It's as sure as the sun rising in the morning. All right, come on. Now, Carl Borralho versus Nassourdine Imavov is honestly a banger. A straight up banger, boys. Nassourdine Imavov is coming off of knocking out Israel Adesanya. That was a little bit vicious. And Izzy was looking good. He did not look rusty. He didn't look bad. He didn't look slow in that main event against Nassourdine Imavov. And Nassourdine still kind of went forward and put him down. Both of these dudes are big-ass middleweights. They're absolute savages. I don't know why I just stuttered on savages. That felt weird to come out of my mouth. Ugh. But I don't know why people are saying this fight might even go to the ground. Why would this fight go to the ground? These dudes are going to they're going to stay standing up. This is going to be a stand-up, a high-output stand-up main event, all right? Jared Cannonier versus Carl Borralho was supposed to go to the ground. Everybody said, oh, Carl Borralho is going to take Jared to the ground, and that's it, and that's that. He stood there and stood up with him and didn't shoot a takedown until round 5, and then Jared stuffed that takedown, and Carl Borralho did not ever shoot another takedown. Nassourdine Imavov is good on the ground, boys, okay? Nassourdine Imavov is like low-key, a carbon copy of DDP. He fights a little bit goofy. I'm going to be honest with you, boys. He fights a little bit goofy, but boy, does that man have some power. That dude has some power. Now, Carl Borralho took a bunch of damage from that Jared Cannonier fight. I just want to double check that was Carl Borralho's last. Oh, no. Yeah, it was Jared Cannonier, and then he went out and beat Brendan Allen in karate combat. Big whoop-de-doo, Carl Braulio. You went out there and beat Brendan Allen in karate combat. Now, Carl Braulio has my most respect out of any fighting nerd, boys. I'm going to be honest with you. He's the only person taking savages. He's the only person accepting savages on his resume, okay? Back-to-back, Jared Cannonier. And, well, Paul Craig, we're just going to exit out because Paul Craig, I'm going to be honest with you, is not the be-all, end-all to have on your resume. Abuz Magomedov is, though. So is Michael Oleszczuk. I'll give Armand Petrosian that, too. Okay, so Carl Braulio, I'm going to be honest with you, boys, has the best resume out of any fighting nerd. Absolutely. Does he have a chance against Nasruddin Imavov? Yes. Yes, he does. He's undefeated in the UFC, boys. 7-0 in the UFC. Nasruddin Imavov is 8-2. He suffered 2 losses in the UFC. This dude lost to Sean Strickland. All right, Nasruddin Imavov lost to Sean Strickland, but they have common opponents. All right, Roman Dolidze is not a common opponent. I was just reading the names, but Jared Cannonier is a common opponent, boys. Jared Cannonier went to a tooth and nail decision against Carl Braulio. My boy Nasruddin took him out of there in the 4th round. Don't even worry about it, okay? And Jared is as tough as they come. I'm telling you. Nasruddin Imavov is holding boulders in his hand, and he's going to be chucking them at Carl Braulio, boys. I don't think that Carl Braulio makes it out of here. I don't think that the fighting nerds are going to do a 100% win rate this time, boys. I think we're going to see another fighting nerd take a L during the UFC career. We saw Carlos Prates take the first L out of the major 3. You know, we got Carlos Prates, Carl Braulio. Oh, we have 4. Carlos Prates, Carlo Braulio, Marcio Ruffy, and then Gene Silva. We're going to get to Gene Silva soon. Gene Silva's fighting like, what, 3 weeks from now? 2 weeks from now? Let's be real. But we saw Carlos Prates take that L against Ian Gary. Carl Braulio is more than likely going to take this L against Nasruddin Imavov, boys. I'm leaning towards Nasruddin. Carl Braulio got extremely wobbled during that Jared Cannonier fight. If Jared decided to press on the gas, Carl would be out of here. My boy would be gone, okay? Let's be honest. Nasruddin has the intent to finish fights. He does. He's not Jared. He doesn't sit there lazily in the first round and pretends to not know that he's an ultimate fighter. Every single Jared Cannonier fight, the first round is, oh, I forgot I'm an ultimate fighter. Second round, he gets punched in the face a few times, okay? And he comes out there and actually comes out there with some gas in the tank, boys, all right? But I'm going to go Nasruddin Imavov here. I'm going to go KO TKO, boys. This is going to be a banger main event. I just don't like how they're throwing every single fighting nerd easy fights. Benoit Saint-Denis is not a hard fight. He's not. Kyle Propolek, yeah, sure, he lost against Benoit Saint-Denis, but his fight previously to that, was in 2024, but that was in a different, what's it called? His last fight in the UFC was in 2019, boys, okay? I was on the UFC website before I made this video, and it said 2019, but he got cut, I assume, from the UFC, and went on a little bit of a tear in other organizations. He couldn't stay in one organization for very long, as the looks of it, but he went to the UFC and got submitted by Benoit Saint-Denis in the second round. How ass is Benoit Saint-Denis, boys? Why are we giving Marcio Ruffy that? I get it. We want to shine up the superstars, but it just gets me upset. It gets me upset when people are like, oh my god, Carlos Prates is that dude, brother. And I'm like, nah, I don't really think so, man. I don't think so. And they're like, oh, Gene Silva got this. I mean, Gene Silva is like that, but it just, why are we giving Gene Silva Diego Lopez? Why are we Brian Ortega, Bobby Green for Marcio Ruffy? Do you guys understand my point here? I think the fighting nerds are going to go 50% win rate at UFC France, UFC Paris. All right, that's what's going on over here. I'm going to see you guys later. Hope you guys have a good one. So.